Hello everybody, I'm Richard Parr and you are watching Sportuccino. Now every Thursday we're going to be looking at the business of sports. It could be anything to do with technology, marketing, it could be to do with rights or media, and it can also be about grassroots level and different businesses which want to get involved. And let's start with our daily headlines. Amazon will stream live NFL games. Hisense announce World Cup sponsorship. The England and Wales Cricket Board agree a kit sponsorship deal with New Balance. And Juventus launch a new fan app. Yes, those are some of the trending stories when it comes to sport. And we're going to have more about them. Here is the result of yesterday's poll. Just stand by. We're going to be bringing you all of the latest news for that in just a minute. And no, it's just Richard. Richard's fine, mate. Hello and welcome to Sportuccino. It is Thursday. That means we're talking everything related to business. Really sorry if you were watching on the stream before. We had a few technical difficulties, but we're back. Don't worry. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on sportuccino.com. We're also back as a podcast on iTunes, which you'll be able to download after this program. Please help support our show by doing all of that. So yes, we're going to be talking about tech. We're going to be talking about apps. We're going to be talking about media. We're going to be talking about rights. Everything to do with the business side of sports is what's going to happen on a Thursday on Sportuccino at 3 p.m. British Standard Time. That's 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. I've got a great guest coming up for you on the program from 1v1 Personalised Footballs. I've got Richard Philp. He'll be on the program shortly. But let's have a look at what are some of the trending stories related to the world of sports and business. Amazon will stream live NFL games. Hisense announce World Cup sponsorship. The England and Wales Cricket Board agree a kit sponsorship deal with New Balance. And Juventus launch a new fan app. Well, of course, if you want to be like Sportuccino and have an amazing logo like we've got here on the program, you can get it the same at 99 Designs. They create design contests for talented freelancers all around the world. And if you'd like a design just as great as our Sportuccino logo, just go to 99 Designs. I put a link to it on our Facebook and on our YouTube page. Plus, it's on sportuccino.com. And guess what? By giving them a go, if you don't like it, they'll give you your money back. And if you click through our link, you'll also be supporting our show. So I'd really appreciate it if you'd give us a go. Now, on Thursdays, as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about everything related to the business world of sports. And we're talking a bit about the grassroots level today. And I'm delighted to say that the guest I've got on today is not only the director of 1v1 Personalised Footballs, but I'm delighted to say it's also my old neighbour. Richard Philp, welcome to Sportuccino today. Great to see you on the show. Good to see you've got the marketing all going with your banner behind you. So we can talk about being neighbours a little bit later, albeit I think it'd be more embarrassing for me because you remember me being a very skinny 13-year-old playing roller hockey and all kinds of nonsense up the street. But let's first talk about Personalised 1v1 Footballs, 1v1 Personalised Footballs. Tell us about your company, please, mate.
Yeah, brilliant. Listen, Rich, thanks for having me on the show. And yeah, I'll keep the embarrassing stories to a minimum. So 1v1 really has come about in the last few years. And I think to understand where 1v1 is and what it's about, I have to step further back, if you like. So I was fortunate enough to have a passion for football, and unfortunate enough that I came from a broken family. So mum and dad split up when I was young. And there's two ways kids can go, and I think it's always a worry for any parent. So I lived at home with my mum and an older brother, and football really became an extended part of my family. And I was fortunate enough to go through the grassroots levels. Interestingly, played for a team that my mother was a bit cautious whether I should join it because they were called Rowdies, and she was very much of the opinion, how can you play for a team called Rowdies? What kind of people are they? They turned out to be great people, and I'm still in touch with them some 25 years after. And after my grassroots football, I was fortunate enough to turn professional. So I achieved my dream of becoming a professional football player. And life after a professional football player is quite challenging, because if anyone that's watching the show has been fortunate enough to realise their dreams, they realise that, what do you do afterwards? And football back when I was playing, you didn't have the finish and you had all the money in the world. You could do whatever you want. You needed to do something after football. And I was a bit unlucky that injury got the better of me at a young age. So my football career was cut short. And I went on and set up a charity with another former professional football player that I knew as a kid growing up. And the reason being is because I've always been keen on using the influence that I've got to inspire others, and particularly children, especially because you are not born with a right to anything. And sometimes the simple things can be a real struggle. So our charity was all about using the power of sport to help vulnerable and disadvantaged kids. And I used to live up in Cambridgeshire. And a few years ago, we moved down here to be closer to family down near Brighton. And I've got to say, the best thing we did, it's a lovely place. So I'm not plugging any estate agents or something like that, but it's a lovely part of the country, especially on a day like this where it's just blue skies and the sea in the distance. And I set up 1v1. It was too much to carry on doing a charity to give it a real fair go. So I set up 1v1, and it was all about trying to combine my passions, Rich. So again, my love of sport, my love of football in particular, and inspiring youngsters. So 1v1 was born really in a selfish way of combining what I'm passionate about with football in particular, and helping younger kids.
So what exactly is 1v1 Personalised Footballs now then, Richard?
So 1v1 as such is a new sports brand. And Personalised Footballs, if you like, is our first product range. So with choosing the football angle, it's pretty much obvious that it's our largest sport in the country. Loads of people play it. Loads of people have dreams and aspirations, but it's run on a shoestring. Take your professional game out of it, where they've got multi-billions swishing around there. Once you come down to park football and grassroots level, it's all voluntary. These teams how they run is just amazing, and they should be recognised more than what they are. So I had a vision that wouldn't it be great if I could somehow inspire youngsters to feel like little professionals, because we all know that they want to progress up through the ranks and make it as a professional footballer. But in reality, a lot of them are going to drop off the cliff somewhere, whether that be unlucky with injury, their face doesn't fit, or they're just not good enough. So how could I make that journey feel like they are the superstar of today? So 1v1 really tries to incorporate how we can inspire those youngsters to feel great and feel valued, but also add a dimension that can help them financially. So every football team needs footballs. That's a given. And what 1v1 does is enables teams to get footballs that are actually customized or personalized to their team. So, for example, that they get to choose the designs. They can even create designs. They have the colors of their choice, and they can put their team logo or crest on there. So as a child, when they get that ball and they can see their logo on it, they've got a real sense of pride of who they're playing for, which they would have only seen on TV with the likes of a Man United or a Madrid or whoever walking out, and the referee picks up the ball, and that's when they see their logo. So they have the opportunity to live that dream as a youngster.
And how good quality are the balls? Are they the cheap ones you can get in Sports Direct, or are we talking like really good quality here?
I know you're not trying to offend me. Here's my take on it. I remember, as I'm sure many of your viewers do, that our journey through grassroots was a coach turning up with a bag of, I'm going to call them balls. And really, they were a mongrel set. And the way I mean that is we didn't know what was going to be in there. There could be an old tatty one that's been in there for years and it's all delaminated and falling apart. The odd scruffy tatty one. Another one that's worn out and you can hardly see what's on it. And then you'd have the odd old match ball that's filtered in there. And then at the start of training, there'd be a massive hurrah of trying to get in there because you wanted that one good ball you knew was the one that is the decent one. So one thing I've been adamant about is that 1v1 will never make balls of lesser quality. I've got no interest in a child picking up a ball and seeing the 1v1 logo and not knowing whether it's going to be a good ball or not. So everything about 1v1 will be that we will give the best quality for the appropriate age. And the way I mean that is that kids of a certain age need a slightly different kind of outer material just to help them engage and develop their skills. Once you get a little bit older, we need to obviously improve that level of outer material and the layers involved. So I won't put the name of 1v1 on any ball that I wouldn't be happy playing with myself, because after football, I coached at academy level and I was horrified by the level of, without saying this rudely, let's say mediocre balls that they use. And this is like the elite for these kids. We should have been using the best quality there was, because I'm a firm believer that you should practice with what you perform with. So what's the point of a child spending hours upon hours practicing in training their little 10-yard triangular passes or around the corner, whatever? Then come match day, you're given a completely different ball that for adults will adjust a lot quicker. But for these kids, they're under increased pressure. They've got parents there watching, grandparents, family members, whoever, and they're going to feel that pre-match nerves and tension. If suddenly you put a different ball in there, which they go, oh, that looks great, but it feels different, then their 10-yard passing they've been practicing, training, doing really well, suddenly only goes 8 yards and gets intercepted and someone goes on and scores. This kid's distraught thinking, well, I did the same thing. So the level that I'm trying to do with 1v1 is to increase the level of quality that kids practice with, that also is of adequate quality for them to play with. So in essence, our whole ethos is, look, can we provide match quality footballs for teams to train with?
Yeah, I remember those days when I used to play at under 14 level or whatever. There'd always be that net full of balls where the panel's falling off, and there'd be this one nice ball which no one could play with because that was the one match ball that you'd use at the weekends that you couldn't use for training at all. Yeah, well, if only we had a 1v1 personalised footballs then. So one of the things I noticed on your website, Rich, was the Fan That Can initiative. Tell us a little bit about that, please.
Yeah, no, good question. Actually, we've actually changed the name, and we're in the process of having a new website formed, and we've called it now Pledgeable. And the whole concept of Pledgeable, which is the Fan That Can, is imagine a triangle. So you got 3 points of a triangle. So the whole scheme is designed that we can try and, like I said, these teams, whether it be grassroots or schools, don't have the budget to get what really they need. And football seems to be the first thing that gets sacrificed, and I can't understand it, because surely the clue is in the name. They'll go and spend hundreds on a fancy kit, but then they'll spend peanuts on a ball, and I don't get that. So the Pledgeable, or Fan That Can, is basically where we try and find a business that can help support a local team or school, by which case they can help fund it. So typically it might be in the region of between £240 or £250. So kind of thing that a business spends more on milk than they do on what it's going to cost for this. Every ball is designed by the actual team or school, so they get the rights on what they want it to look like and how they want it to perceive. And every ball will have the team or the school's logo. However, we'll also include the business's logo. So on each and every ball, the business logo will be on. At the beginning or the end of the season, ideally, we'd like the business to do a presentation. So they come along and they give these balls to these kids. But at the end of the season, we get all the kids to autograph the ball. Now, I don't know if I was to ask you, Rich, when was the first time you can remember someone asking for your autograph? It doesn't matter the point of when it was asked, but I'm sure the feeling you got was one of, oh, you want my autograph? Because kids see this on the TVs, they go up to their stars and they want their autograph. So they know how special a thing it is. So what we're trying to do is flip it on its head and say, hey, you're the one that's going to give the autograph now. Sign the ball. The end of the season, when all the kids will sign these balls, and one will get presented to the business that's helped with the Pledgeable funding. And then the rest of the balls will distribute via our charity partners to either, so they're the third point of the triangle, to either kids that are living in care in this country or kids living in poverty elsewhere around the world. So hopefully Pledgeable is a business helping the local kids in their community, in turn helping kids that are far more disadvantaged either here in this country or around the world.
Sounds like an amazing initiative, and I wish you all the best with it. We're going to talk a little bit more in just a moment, but as you're doing such great marketing behind you, I thought I'd do a little bit of marketing as well. I want to tell people that they can't buy footballs from me, but they can buy mugs because I'm a mug, and you can also buy Sportuccino t-shirts. We've got a whole range. Why don't you have a quick look at this? Yes, all of that is at sportuccino.com/merchandise. Well, Richard Philp is still with us here on today's Sportuccino Business of Sports show. Great to have had his knowledge so far. Now, Rich, you were talking about the level of grassroots football and the lack of funding it gets. How much does it frustrate you when you see all of the big business deals from the likes of Sky and BT Sport paying all these millions and billions, and the Premier League spending all these huge wages and making these huge transfers, and as you said, there's nothing in grassroots football? How does that make you feel, and are there any things you think that could be changed to make it better?
Yes, wow. I think I get mixed feelings because there's it goes two ways. I think that football's become an entertainment business, and it's no different from big Hollywood blockbusters getting multi-millions. I think the shame of it is that there's not enough control on the money that's spread around. I think players could do far more. I think if you're earning that kind of money, you should be doing something pretty much daily that helps local communities and inspires others in a positive way. I think clubs are run now by pretty much business people. It used to be that they were run by the fans of a club that actually had a few pounds in his pocket and went and bought a club. I think the whole process has changed, and I think that the frustration is that the organisations that run the game lost control, and because they've lost control, they'll never get it back. And there's conflicting outcomes that they're both trying to achieve. I think where it leaves grassroots is that they need to be really careful that they don't just blow the top out of the game. And the way I mean that is that, every Sunday on a park football pitch is next year's Premier football stars. And yes, they come from all around the world, but it's the same thing. You don't think that the kids in Holland, France, Germany, South America, they're not kids that are out on the same park or in the street practicing their skills. And I think if they're not careful, there may well become a period where you won't get the same numbers of players coming through. I'm a big advocate in one of the campaigns I'd love to run is a balls to no ball game signs. So actually, I think that crippled a lot of activity in local communities. I was one of those that we used to play on a green, and if the ball went on a road, do you know what? We learned how to observe traffic. We learned to observe that if there's a car coming, don't run out. We learned then to be respectful of where we were. We looked after our areas. Traffic, I think, was a lot slower. I think because they're mindful of the fact that a kid could be playing football, could be out on the streets and having fun and being active. So it drives me a little bit insane that, I've got a child myself. She loves playing on the iPad. What do? I can't just tell her now, just you go on your own and create your own game outside on the street, because it needs more. So I'm in two minds. The money, there definitely has to be something, because I think it's an outcry when you've got billions pumped in at the top and nothing in at the bottom. It only leads to one way, and that will be a disastrous impact on the sport. So I think that clubs are, I think, if I'm honest, they're too headstrong on funds. They're too headstrong on, it's all about the money. And every project that any club does is all funded. It's all funded. And I'm like, it's a bit of an adverse reaction, because I'm thinking, well, if you've got that amount of money, then the funding that you get, do you really need as a club, or can you actually put that into the community? And community departments do a great job, but I think that there could be a better way of that being achieved that actually benefits communities, because it's all about building sustainability. And if you don't leave something there for others to just participate when they choose to, then really you're just making it too niche that people won't enjoy the sport that can be so fruitful, or in any sport, to be fair, unless they've got the opportunity to just go and do it when they want. And that's where I think councils and football clubs in particular could do a lot more.
Amazing to get your thoughts on that, Richard. Lots to think about there. All right, just before we go, let's do a quick fire round just to get to know you a little bit better. I'm going to throw 5 random things your way, and you've got to give me the first answer which comes into your head. It's called 5 favourite things. So it might be like, what's your favourite TV series? Who's your favourite footballer? Or something like that. And I want you to give me the first answer that comes into your head. Are you ready?
I was born ready.
Born ready. All right, Richard. What is your favourite city?
Buenos Aires.
Who is your favourite footballer of all time?
Maradona.
What is your favourite film?
Hear no evil, see no evil.
What is your favourite food?
Steak.
And finally, what is your favourite app?
Skype.
Skype, exactly. Perfect. Wonderful. Good to get your 5 favourite things there. What makes Buenos Aires so good?
I travelled there with my wife. They do the best steaks in the world, by the way. And I went and watched Boca Juniors play, who Maradona used to play for. And it's such a vibrant city. They obviously love their dancing, and it's a really cool place. I recommend it.
Oh, sounds like all your answers are related to one holiday trip. I don't know if that's cheating or not, but we'll let you have it. All right, Rich, it's been so good to talk to you today. Just before you go, let us know all of the social media channels where we can find 1v1 Personalised Footballs and any other way that we can get in touch with you.
Yeah, the best way would be the website, 1v1footballs.com, because you get to create your own design. And more importantly, when we get the 3D modelling going, you'll be able to share that with someone else. Our Twitter is @1v1footballs. Our Facebook, @1v1footballs. We're not social media gurus, by the way, so bear with us if the content isn't great. But look, we're all about inspiring the kids. So just share with people you know that play football or involved in football, and business as well, because they can play their part through Pledgeable.
Yeah, it's been really good to talk to you, Rich. We'll definitely get on top of all of that. I'm following 1v1 Footballs on Twitter already. Well, Richard Philp, Director of 1v1 Footballs, thank you so much for being on the programme today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Great to talk to Richard there on our Business of Sport show on Sportuccino. We really did learn a lot. What did you think of his comments? Did you agree with them? Did you disagree with them? Are you going straight to 1v1footballs.com and buying your own football? Let us know. Get involved in the comment section. All right, just before we go, let's get a quick reminder of the trending stories going on in the business of sports. Amazon will stream live NFL games. Hisense announce World Cup sponsorship. The England and Wales Cricket Board agree a kit sponsorship deal with New Balance. And Juventus launch a new fan app. That's it for today's Sportuccino. We'll be talking about everything related to sports business. On Friday, it's our big weekend preview. We're going to look ahead to everything that's happening in the world of sport this weekend. In particular, we will be talking about the Grand National. The horse racing expert Tom Castle will be on the programme. We'll be live at 3 p.m. British Standard Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. Pacific. You don't want to miss that episode. Now, if you don't already like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube and on iTunes. Why not? Get on with it. Go do it. Really good to speak to Richard Philp today. Hope you've enjoyed today's program, and we will be back tomorrow from 3 p.m. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Goodbye.